Happy Monday, everybody. Let's do end of market update and we will start with Bitcoin futures. This is BTC futures, and you can see if I go to 1 hour chart and you can see there is a gap here. Okay, on this day, which is Sunday, 29th of October, Bitcoin opened with a gap up. This gap will be filled. Okay, so this gap is around 34,165. And one other thing I wanted to show you, there was a gap around 35,210, which we got filled here. If I zoom out, this is daily chart. You can see this day exactly here on 9th of May. You can see if I zoom in, you can see this gap here. Futures open on a gap down, okay? And then this gap is filled now, all right? So this was gap around 35K. Those who are following me for a while, they know I was talking about this a while ago, but now we can see it's done. So we'll delete this. And now there is a gap here. Now there are some gaps to the downside. You can see there are 3 gaps here which I have marked here. There's a gap around 20K, gap around 26K, gap around 29K, and gap around 34,165. So I think, so let me get rid of this as well. So at minimum, I think we will fill this gap for sure. The first gap, which is around 34,695. Let me bring moving averages on. And you can see short term, Bitcoin is very, very oversold. It made a new high. So this is a good news. This is a change in trend. We are making higher highs, higher lows. But you can see short term, if I go to 1 hour chart, you can see what's happening here. Bitcoin made a new high here exactly on this day, which is 26th of October. And look what's happening on RSI, okay? So price is making new highs and RSI making lower highs, all right? So I think at minimum, we'll get this I don't think it's a big dump. So from where we are right now, futures to this 34K around 1.14. No, that's nothing. Okay. The bigger dump is here around 29K. Let's go back to daily chart. And then there's another gap here around 26 and then 20K. Just be mindful of these gaps. So do not be extremely bullish. This is not the time to buy. I think I do expect there could be another pump to around 42K. Let me go to live Bitcoin futures. Here is the live market. You can see this is my projection, so it's going to go a little bit down, maybe make a flag and then go try to break out to this 42K resistance, and then that's gonna be it. I think after that, I think we will have a downwards move in my opinion, to fill some of these gaps around 22K. That could happen maybe later on in the year, next year maybe. But for now, this is what I'm thinking, maybe move up. So let's go back to futures, BTC futures. So this is what I'm thinking. We're going to maybe consolidate here, make a flag, try to go above. And this, again, this resistance here, if I draw a box here, you can see this whole area, big confluence of resistance here. And if I can extend this somewhere like this. So around 40 to 42K. This is where I think it's going to go. And yeah, that's about it. On Ethereum, I don't need to go to futures, but it's going to do same as Bitcoin. So you can see it's flagging here. Let me delete this line. You can see it's flagging. The good news is it's above this dark blue line, which is 200 EMA. So it's consolidating, flagging, and I think it's going to eventually break out. All right. So this is what I'm expecting. So I'm just deleting this. And I think eventually it's going to flag and then it's going to break out to this 2000 resistance. All right. So from here, I think Ethereum is going to go to 12% up, and that's going to be the target for the short term. All right. Okay, so now we're done with the crypto. Let's go back to futures. So you can see here futures US 500, which is S&P 500. You can see it's now it's below all the moving averages, which is not a good news, and this is below this trend line. And now it's kind of flagging. Now there are 2 scenarios short term on S&P 500. So I think it's now going towards resistance. So probably maybe we'll have another bounce tomorrow. So this is the big resistance zone, okay, where we are right now exactly. There's also this 10 moving average green line. If I zoom in, this green line going down, also this 20 EMA coming down. So we can go as high as here, and then decision will be made. Are we going to make a new low and then go higher? Okay, or we're gonna go continue higher from here. All right, so we're gonna go make a touch here, make a higher low, and then we're gonna go higher, big resistance. Okay, no matter how we go, I'm looking for a new all-time high, or actually even there's a gap here. Actually, let's go to SP, let's go to SPY. All right, so that your gaps are clear. All right, so you can see all these yellow lines are the gaps to fill, and I do think from here to the top gap we have around 10% upside. All right, so these gaps should be all filled by the end of this year. Same thing with triple Qs. It's a little bit stronger. It's finding support on this 200 EMA, which is this light blue line, and again looking for all these gaps, and you can see these gaps will definitely be filled. Actually, from here to the top gap is around 10.49%. One thing to note, if I go to 1 hour chart, if I go back to regular trading hours, so you can see we open on a gap up, this gap is not filled. So it is possible we could come back tomorrow, fill this gap around 345 and then go higher. Let's go to SPY and see. Same thing here, this gap is not filled, 410. Even Dow Jones, this gap is not filled, and even IWM filled this gap. So I'm going to delete this gap on IWM. So just be mindful of that. There are gaps left open, so market could be tricky. I think there is a federal meeting probably this week. They will publish results, so maybe they will intraday just come back, fill this gap, and then go higher. So they can do a lot of tricks. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Same thing with US 100. If I go to 1 hour chart, you can see we were making divergence. We made a new low, this low here, and we made a higher RSI on this new low. Okay, so there was divergence. Even on US 500, divergence. Okay, so divergence across the board, and that means momentum is going higher. All right, US 500, US 100, Nasdaq is also facing this resistance line as well on top of this trend line, and again you can see again I'm just extending this on triple Qs. Just keep these gaps in mind. All right, so let's go to Dow Jones, and you can see Dow Jones also divergence, new low. Actually, even if on US 500, you can see we made a new low on divergence, and Dow Jones also new low on divergence on RSI, new low on price, but RSI is higher. Russell 2000, same thing, new low in price, RSI is higher. All right, so that's like momentum is getting bullish right here. And let's go to gold. Gold is a gap here. I marked with purple. It will be filled. I don't know why, when, but we could expect a little bit of downwards pressure. You can see 1 hour chart. We made a new high on lower momentum. You can see RSI is going lower. You can see from here to here, RSI made a lower low. Price made a higher low. If I go to daily chart, you can see you can expect a little bit of pullback to buy on this support area, and then we can bounce. All right, silver, same thing here. You can see here this resistance trend line, white line struggling to close above that, so it made a lower high, and then is it going to come down, find support around this line, or is it gonna, you got to be very careful. You have to wait for silver to close above this trend line, this white trend line. Until that, I'm not going to be too bullish, so just wait for that to happen. All right, and let's go back to, let's bring back these moving averages, and then natural gas. Gap down, interesting gap down. So we're going to mark this with yellow gap here. So let's see, let's mark it with yellow here. So natural gas, let's go back to daily chart, gap down. So the good news is it's gap down, it's finding support. It's right, it's made a higher low. You can see this high is higher than previous high, higher low, and it could be getting ready for a massive pump. All right, crude oil again exactly doing what I did, what I mentioned. I did not change anything. I think it's going to do a bear flag, higher low. Eventually it's coming down to 73 bucks. All right, dollar index struggling here, made a big red candle. I really want this to break to go to new low. The cycle low is here around January. I want this to weaken here. Bitcoin already covered. Apple 1.23% gapped up. Let's see if this gap is filled. This gap is still not filled. Maybe during FOMC day it's gonna fill. Also downward trend line. Earnings is coming on 2nd of November, so just be mindful of that. Looking for high low and then go high. So I'm looking for something like what is this indicator? Here you go. So I'm looking for something like this. Maybe make a high and then fill this gap and then break out. All right, Tesla, massive downwards pressure here, and I have to fix this chart. Looking very bearish, to be honest. This price action is looking very bearish. The next gap is here around 161. Last gap is around 145. So just be mindful of that. There was a big gap here, earnings gap. Also there are gaps to the top. It's right in the middle. Okay, From here to the first downwards gap is 17%, second gap is 26% on up, first gap is 22%, second gap is 46%. We're right in the middle, right below all moving averages. Price action is very bearish. Even any bounce can go sell off. All right, so just be mindful this gap here. There's a news that demand for electric vehicle is going down. Batteries, Panasonic batteries are going down. So I think that's Tesla is taking a hit. Netflix finding support again on this rising 200 EMA, 50 yellow line is 50 EMA, and now bouncing. So looking for this gap here around 475 to fill. Microsoft again 2% higher, no gaps to the downside, looking for this target 349. Google, is this gap filled? Let's go to 1 hour chart. This gap is filled, so I'm going to delete this, but it gapped down, so I have to add a gap here, green line. So Google again also had a gap up, and yeah, Google is just consolidating, looking for higher prices. Earnings was not that bad. Sorry, I don't know why they punished it so much. Meta, Facebook also gap here, looking for that gap to fill around 3 or 4. Amazon, again, massive pump, looking for this gap here, which is very new. Good news is it closed above this 50 SMA, closing above all moving averages. So looking for maybe a little bit of consolidation and then go higher to close all the gaps to the upside. Snowflake's flat, looking for higher prices. NVDA, 1.62% up, also looking for multiple gaps to fill upside. AMD, at one point it was down heavily, but let's see, this gap is still here. That's our target. Earnings is also coming very soon, around 31st of October, so be mindful of that. Toronto Stock Exchange consolidating, higher momentum on RSI. Good time to buy, in my opinion. It's year to date in loss, so they could try to rebound towards the end of the year. Hang Seng Index, good news, it's above this trend line, China, and then it's just consolidating on a new low on higher momentum on RSI, so looking for higher prices here as well. Bond market, same thing, new lows, higher momentum. Wait for it to close above this dotted trend line. Until then, don't be bullish. Copper in the buy zone. CPER is the ETF to buy. Palladium also not able to close above this support 1140. Wait for it to close above this resistance now before it was support. Wheat also consolidating, trying to form a bottom here. I did get a red sell signal, which is not a good news, but let's see if it can consolidate here. This whole area is a big support range here. Wheat is just being annoying for everybody, but this could be a big support area here. Okay, so let me mark this with green. Here you go. All right, so corn, you can see here corn also in the massive support area here. If I draw a box here, massive support here. All right, so this is where it should be looking to buy corn. You want to buy on support, not on resistance. Soybeans also in the buy area. Sugar, looking for this. You can see massive green red candle, looking for it to find support on this trend line. All right. Let's go look at miners. Newmont Mine looking for this gap filler on 37.66. Gold miners down, looking for maybe it's possible to fill this gap. That will be perfect buy entry before we can go higher. Let's look at sectors. XLK looking for higher prices. XLE looking for this gap fill before it go higher. XLV healthcare very bearish, flat 0.56, looking for this high low and then go high. It's above below this trend line, so I'm not going to be bullish until the price closes above this trend line. XLU utility sector also struggling to close above that, so wait for it to close with this gap around 57.69 before it can go higher. XLI, also industrial sector, did it close this gap? No, it did not. So again, looking for this gap fill 96.49 to buy again. Real estate sector, looking for a bounce. This gap looks like it's filled, so I can delete this. You can see most of the time these gaps do get filled, and looking for high low and then go high. Financials, looks like, let's go to 1 hour chart. This gap, another gap is here, so I don't think this gap is going to fill. There's another gap here, so two gaps, 30.89 and 31.48. Look to buy on these gaps. All right. KRE regional bank ETF also look to buy around 37. Shopify 1% up. Let's go to 1 hour chart. It gapped up, so let's delete this gap. This gap is filled. Now there's another gap left. Last gap is around $45. That would be good entry. It can happen tomorrow. And yeah, that's about it. Wix down 7%. Good news, below below 20. So looking for wicks to fall by the end of this year, and then stocks to go higher by the end of this year. All right, guys, let me show you my new other indicator, which shows short-term buy and sell signals. And by the way, guys, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe. If you're here till now, please hit the like button on your way out. And this indicator which I'm sharing now, if you like it, join, subscribe, click on the join button, and I share pre-market updates with my group. And there's also chat Discord. You can join that for free, and you can make for the whole year of subscription in one trade. Okay, so it's very, very cheap. Okay, so red lines are sell lines, green lines are buy lines. This is just for day trading, just for 1 day trade. So you can see right now S&P 500 is in the middle, which is in the neutral zone. White line is the neutral zone. ES, which is futures of EMINI futures of S&P 500, same thing in the middle. Sell is 41.98, buy is 41.43. MES sell zone is around 41.99, buy zone is around 41.42. NQ, Nasdaq E-mini futures, buy zone, it's in the neutral again, buy zone 14.244, sell zone is 14.922. MNQ, and same thing here is in the middle, which is a neutral zone. All right, Dow Jones in near sell zone, so looking for a little bit of pullback. Russell 2000 coming to near buy zone, looking for it to be bought here. All right, guys. Okay, guys, also let's look at Bitcoin coming near buy zone 34,174, and gold right now is all in the neutral zone. If it comes below 1985, look to buy. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.